Oh boy. Feeling a certain sort of way tonight, parentheses negative. Um, don't know what it was earlier. I just like got really nauseous and dizzy on top of being very exhausted. And I was like, I don't know if I'm going to make it tonight, but it mostly went away. So hopefully I will make it for a little bit. Might end it a little bit earlier. I don't know. But yeah, go ahead and pop over to the art scene. I don't have the hand tracking on, so I'm moving my hands with, but forgetting I turned that off. Whoops. Pretend I move my hands. But anyways, give me 1 second here. I have to raise my mic because I'm using the standing desk. It's helping with the energy at least, so that's cool. But my mic was way too low. I've also misplaced my artist glove again. That's cool. Turn the music a little bit back up, I think. There we go. That's probably a little bit. There we go. And I'll turn it up for me instead. There we go. Okay. So this is where I left off yesterday. Um, Basically got all of the shades blocked out where I want them. And now it's time to get more blend it all together and do some of the actual details. So just gotta switch some windows around here and find the brush that I like to use. Was fittingly a more quieter, or not fittingly, luckily a more quieter day today. Yesterday, that today, bleh, cannot speak. It was a quieter day today than it was yesterday, which I am very happy for. But for some reason, that exhaustion really hit in pretty early, even, which was very annoying. But I'm pushing through it at least. It didn't let it stop me today. Not going to, I'm not going to let it stop me when I can. It was very close though. I was like so queasy. I think some what I ate was not agreeing with me. But hopefully whoever's watching is having a better night than I am. At least in terms of energy. It was an okay day. So try to at least look on the brighter side of things. So went in and figured out how the Twitch alerts work. So there's at least now a raid alert. Since I don't really plan on really going for, I just realized I should probably rotate myself. Forgot to do that. So if I look over here at you, There we go. I like this angle a lot when I'm looking over because then I look hotter. You know, the most important thing. Um, Now I need to go back to PureRef. There we go. Not blind myself with a green screen. One of the unfortunate consequences of running Venian in Linux is for some reason transparent windows don't work. And I don't think that's like a limitation of Linux. I think that's just Wine for some reason doesn't have that implemented. I'm not sure, but it means I have to use a green screen instead, old school. And it's blindingly green to look at on a like 27-inch monitor. How do art often standing up? It's a very interesting experience. I've gamed standing, but I don't think I've done art standing. Maybe I've done it like once. I feel like I'm not hunching over as much, so maybe I should do it more often. But anyways, what I was saying earlier is I got the at least a raid alert set up. Wanted something from Deep Space Nine because I don't know, had no other real ideas, and I don't like the default alerts, so. But that's the only one I set up since most of the other things you need affiliate for. And like I was getting ready to say, I don't really plan on applying for affiliate, even if I qualified, which I was close to if I just streamed a couple more times back in February. But I don't want to give Twitch my tax information, frankly. Or have them like do some sort of ID AI scan nonsense or whatever. I don't care about that. I don't really need the monetization aspect from Twitch. I just kind of like the idea of friends stopping by, chatting, and just showing off art process and all that. Or showing off games that I like. Or maybe showing off music if I end up going for that too. That would be, I was talking about that yesterday. That would be interesting. I just want to make sure I set up OBS in a way that allows me to stream it safely, aka I don't accidentally blast someone's ears out. Because I accidentally blast my own ears out plenty of times. Usually I just put in like a distortion plugin on something, and then the default settings, like usually with the amps, they're like way too strong initially. To nothing, I won't let go. Never let you go. Let you go. No. Mm-hmm. 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 Ooh, this angle is not. I might need to change the nib. I think it's time. I think this weekend I will take the cover off this screen and see how that goes. Like I was talking about yesterday. I just cannot put up with My nib's going down after like 5 drawings or other projects like Wind Blender. I think no matter what, if I finish this or not, I will move on to the game I had planned. Because that was the original plan until I like made this sketch and then was like, I might do this first. See how I like doing the art stuff first. Also debating on whether I want to get back into doing Fortnite again as just like a if I don't have anything else. I was thinking of doing racing games. The problem with that is like the bit rate of them is a little bit rough. And even if Twitch allowed better bit rate, my upload I don't think is quite good enough for anything more. So I mean, I might just do the racing games anyways. Just I don't think it's too unwatchable. I would have to play around with it, see if it's all right. I think the light should be on the top half of these fur bits. And I'm kind of just playing around at this point, seeing what works, if it looks good or not. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. This should not be blended too much because it's a hard shadow, so. Whereas the rest of this is softer. Oops. As much as I love this brush, it's a little unpredictable at times. It's supposed to be, what is this? A wet knife. It kind of reminds me of painting with oil painting. I would love to get back into oil painting. I just worry about ventilation problems, frankly. Even though there's like odorless stuff, you still should ventilate regardless. And it's like, problem is I don't really have any way to do that. So you don't really have, you can mostly get away with not using stuff that needs ventilation, I think. Maybe. I don't know. It's been a hot minute. I basically did it my senior year of university, and then that was it. I have like a nice oil painting of my Sona hanging on my wall that I like showing off every now and then. Of me leaning against a Pontiac Firebird Trans Am, and it has trans pride stripes on it because Trans Am. It's a funny joke. Haha, I'm funny. Please laugh. I make myself laugh. I did figure out how to set up, I believe it's called Video Ninja, so that I can use my phone as a like second webcam, so that I could, if I ever do IRL stuff like oil painting and whatnot, then I could. However, I think by the time I get to that, I'm going to get a new webcam because this webcam I currently have is just not great. And I can use it as like a backup camera instead, such as for what I was, well, I don't know. Maybe I would use that for the overhead stuff. Maybe I would just use it as the regular webcam still. This one is just like weirdly not good. I just realized too that I don't have. Wow, look at the way that's contorting. Oh, I feel like that. Hold on. Hmm. Is this better with my ring light off? Is it better if I turn this on? Question mark? I feel like I'm not making a difference whatsoever with my weird closing eye problem. Sorry, I'm just fiddling with my ring light to see what effect that has on anything. It's blurring a little too much for my taste. Waves on the end of me, too high. Might be a little quiet today, just because of the energy levels, and also, frankly, don't have a whole lot to talk about today that I haven't already talked about. So, but that's fine. It is a chill art stream after all. I have been thinking of maybe I keep saying I have like a couple of games planned, but I'm like, well, Slime Rancher just like unexpectedly came out. Unexpected to me. I didn't know it was coming out. Was it yet a couple days ago? I didn't. I think it had a release date, and I just did not know about it. And I was like, oh, I just saw an update for it that was like several gigabytes, and then I saw the changelog saying 1.0 release, and I'm like, wait, what? I was not expecting that. I definitely loved the first game and look forward to the second one. And I'm kind of wondering if I should maybe stream that one since it's relevant TM. I don't really want to view anything as quote unquote content. Ugh. I hate that word. And I really don't care about relevancy of things a whole lot. Oh, wait, I don't want this to be too. This blender sucks. I don't like that one. Yeah, I don't care too much about doing things for the sake of being just for the sake of being relevant, but it would at least be nice to do basically the bare minimum to grow, which is to play things that are relevant, I guess. Because it would be nice to have, like an active chat and etc. But not that there's any obligation for anyone to ever talk. I'm capable of keeping myself entertained and talking. I've gotten a lot better. I kind of just over time vocalize a lot of thoughts more and more, even like before I started streaming. And I've kind of been using streaming to hone that even more and also to hone my ability to not lose my train of thought super easily, because that is something I've always struggled with. Um, and to multitask talking and doing something else. I can sometimes I definitely like pause to think, and it's a bit of a struggle, but that's something that this is kind of like practice for me at this point. And I can like kind of tell that I am improving. And I can come back to something. I can like detour on another tangent without losing track of the other tangent. That's something else I kind of struggle with, at least out loud. I can kind of have like 50 different things going on in my head and resolve most of them. But I definitely, there are times where I'm just like, I'm go on from one tangent to the next and I don't finish the other one. And then maybe I remember I had been talking about something and then I'm just like completely, it was out. It was gone. It was completely out of mind, out of sight, I guess. The phrase backwards. And since I'm not really doing this as any sort of super professional goals in mind, I can kind of get away with being a little more nonchalant, I guess, with not having those skills and instead using this as a way to hone those skills, which I know if it was like supposed to be more professional, then you should maybe have those to begin with. But ooh, that kind of blended nicely. Squiggle, 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 squiggle. Sometimes this brush cooperates with me. It's kind of because I'm using it a little bit wrong in some places. Because you're basically supposed to be tilting it to the side, which I do have tilt on my tablet, which my other tablet did not. And I'm very happy this one has it, because it has been very nice for brushes like this. But it's also a bit of a learning curve because you don't really tilt your brush this much IRL. Still afraid, but you're all I need now. Open mind, I won't let you go now. I love how incredibly moody the annexes stuff is. It's like not too like edgy, depressive, quote unquote emo, I guess would be what I'm looking for there, but it's still like moody. And sometimes moody music is nice, so. Oops. I do wonder if I'm like coming down with something a little bit. Because I do, like my sinuses feel a little out of whack. I mean, that could just be the seasonal shift. Really. Like I just like inhaled a little bit ago and I was like, this kind of felt like I had a cold there for a second. It like had the quality of a cold. I don't know really how else to describe it. There is a hole in my layer there. This probably shouldn't be too blended because it is a more of a hard shadow, I think. So, oops. Hello, color pick. Thank you. Whereas this is kind of more of the softer shadow here. But yeah, I'm definitely feeling the seasonal shifts starting to hit me, mainly with like the psoriasis that I have. That's usually like the warning sign for me of the season is shifting, is I start getting really itchy and flaky and bleh, gross. It is really starting to get annoying to deal with, but I'm pretty sure any medication like completely destroys your immune system. And hot take, I want to like experience cons first without putting my life at risk. So I think I will hold off until like the arthritis part really starts kicking in, which I don't think it really is yet. So I'm young and I do have some problems, but I don't think it's necessarily like actual arthritis. So, but who knows? I don't entirely know. That bit of shading like completely disappeared. That is, where did it go? That's like one of the weird things about that brush is that sometimes the color just disappears on you. Talking in my sleep tonight. I feel like I'm getting through this fairly quickly, so I'm hoping to like I don't know if I'll finish it today, but I feel like get I might get close. It's like the way I work is I do what I did with this sort of like just blocking out the shades, and then I block out the like just like the main like overall lighting without taking into account like more detailed parts like, you know, for example, the abs having their own crevices and everything. Anything that has like a crevice that isn't just like a very major, easy to deal with, like this spot here that I'm cleaning up right now. Any of those details I don't do right away. I will hold those off until I go from the blocking into just blending in this. This is just, I don't know, it's just kind of the way my brain works. Breaking things down and then building them back up, so to speak. I would very much like to experiment more directly with um like painting with color more directly. That's something that I've kind of struggled to really tackle. But it ends up looking so nice. I'm thinking of Hanu.art. I'm thinking of Garyu right now going, have you guys seen Hanu.art? Look at Hanu.art, Hanu.art, blah, blah, blah. But yeah, Hanu and Cherry Wake, I believe is their name. Both of them have like nice, like they just paint from basically, I don't know. I don't know if Cherry does one layer necessarily. I know Hanu definitely like basically does from one layer. It was like the way they were taught in, I think, art school, I think is what they talked about on stream before, on Garyu's stream. Anyways, stop saying. But otherwise, I've watched the two of them like just work with the color directly rather than like, you know, this grayscale, which this grayscale kind of it's a bit difficult to add the color in afterwards and make it look natural. Like, sure, it helps me break down what I'm drawing a lot easier. And I do this as more of like a therapeutic thing more than anything else. And like shading for me is a very, I won't say very, but somewhat therapeutic, which is why I've stuck with art for this long and why I mostly do things where I'm doing shading. Because frankly, sketching is like kind of the most stressful, I guess. Because I'm like, this doesn't look right. And kind of when I'm in the middle of the shading is kind of when a picture looks its greatest to me. Usually when I get to the end result, I kind of don't like it, but when I'm sketching, and I very heavily like rely on models to the point where I set up, at this point now, I kind of just set up scenes and like do a very rough sketch with that scene, like drawing over it. That's kind of like what this one was in Blender. And then I redline it or like jiggle lines around a lot or do things to make it look a little more dynamic because the poses in Blender very much look, or in other posing apps, they look very rigid, unnatural, uncanny, static. Like you're kind of just standing there. It's more so because I struggle to pose things, I guess, a little bit. This song goes really hard. VOD watchers won't hear it, but it is there over top of me, so. Annex's cover of Digital Bath by Deftones. I don't remember what the original song sounds like offhand. I've only listened to it a couple of times. Never really listened to Deftones a whole lot, so pretty much ever, actually. I'm pretty sure this song is what taught, or the song that was just playing taught me the existence of Deftones. I don't think I ever heard of them before that. But I did listened to the song once or twice. But yeah, what I was saying earlier, it would be nice to work with colored more directly. Kind of want to watch. I mean, Hanu doesn't really stream. He's just kind of like co-streamed with Garyu. At least I'm pretty sure. But there is, I could watch Cherry more. Some of, sort of what I've been doing now has kind of been from watching Juiceps a while back. When I was initially dipping my toes into furry Twitch and then kind of bounced off because of something I won't entirely get into, but it was like there was just someone that I'm like, and I kind of didn't have trust anyone yet at the time, so I was kind of like, I don't know if others are endorsing this or something. But it was like basically like when I was only really aware of like a few of the bigger ones. But held off for like a few years. Like almost exactly 3. Which I'm kind of kicking myself for, frankly. Would have known people a lot sooner, gotten maybe even gone to cons more sooner. Maybe met people that are international that would have been able to come, felt safer to come before everything went so south. And now I'm worried if I'll even be able to go to Vancouver with what's going on, frankly. I really hope I can. Because there's people I want to see, and it's like really important to me, frankly. Some of whom are just like not going to be able to come here for potentially years. I kind of get the feeling that it's now or never, just like I kind of got with AC a little bit. Which it's probably not with that. I don't know. I just kind of worry sometimes. And I kind of want to approach things as, I don't know, I feel like I've gone through a lot of life with missed opportunities and regrets, and I kind of want to put a stop to that. And I kind of want to approach things more like treat it as if it is your last chance. Because who knows? Maybe it is. Maybe something comes up. Maybe I don't want to like get too dark, frankly, but maybe just economic reasons. Maybe it like, you never know. Where are we at so far? Oh, there's like a weird splotch there that I don't like. There's like a weird light spot there. I think. Unless my tablet is deceiving me. I don't think it is, though. I can look at, yeah, in OBS, there's a weird light spot there, and it. Go away. This tablet, one complaint I have is the colors aren't like at all the same. I'm pretty sure my monitors are pretty color accurate. I think this tablet is not. Maybe. I don't know. That's why I'm looking over. This is looking over at OBS. And the preview. Probably blend these a little better. Something that I've been having more VR dreams lately, which is ironic because I don't have a headset yet. Although now that I am getting one, I think I should blend these a little differently. I am getting one, which I think has made them even more prominent. And a lot of them are more like, just intimate time with friends. I say intimate loosely, not like in a horny way, but just like just the literal, like close way. But also been having like, usually like daydreaming when listening to music, like some of this music, even of like dancing and singing to the music with like full body tracking and everything. And there's a couple of the songs like Interference in particular from, I think, is it this album? I need to check. I can't see the album art. Yeah, this album. Interference and Everlasting Love in particular. There's like a hypno shader I really want to get that I want to, as soon as I have the headset, I'm gonna put the hypno shader on, because that would be really fun to play with. And there's one that like encapsulates the screen that would be really fun to play with. And I've actually like daydreamed a bit to those songs of using that, dancing and singing to those songs, and like that would be really cool. I mean, I don't really have a good singing voice. I'm very monotonous. I kind of can sing lower tones, I think, maybe. I don't know. I used to do choir when I was young, but my voice was a lot higher pitched back then, of course. And then I kind of like lost my ability to sing really all that well. So it'd probably just be lip syncing, kind of like the way a lot of, I think, drag does. And like, frankly, the more important thing is like the swaying back and forth and doing hypno stuff. I'm not even really all that into hypno. It's more so just the aesthetic, especially with some of those songs. It feels like it would be really fun to play with. Because I feel like those songs in particular and doing stuff with hypno would go very hand in hand. So I use a very dark shade here to try to encourage it. I don't think it's working though. Come on. I don't want to press too hard on my tablet. That looks messy. Let's do this. Still looks messy. Okay, I give up. I think I had something there and then I lost it. Oh, undo. I forgot undo like takes away. Like it undoes your color selection too, which is a little jarring. I don't want the circles that I drew here to be too visible. It's kind of why I'm like, it's like, okay, I got the blended part in, but I would like to have more of the like brush strokey texture retained. It's hard to strike a balance. But I think I'm getting somewhere with it, so was that the brush I was using? No, it isn't the brush I was using. I think it was this one. Hello. This is like not dark enough. Hello. Ugh. I need to like not hold Control Z on my keyboard. I'm like getting in a habit of doing that, even though I literally have a button on my tablet. I can just hold my tablet. I'm like getting trigger finger, hovering my fingers over Control Z, and I don't get that if I just hold the tablet, like I'm holding a piece of paper, frankly. Blink check, everybody, as one of my friends would say. Have just kind of not been blinking, I think. Trying to remember what came first with him: pee check, or uh, blink check. That was like an inside joke. I think he just like randomly said it one day. It was like a really funny clip. But he would sometimes stare at a game for so long and then just be like, "Ah, oh, I've not been blinking. Blink check, everybody." As funny as it is, it's also important. So, pretty sure I have spent more time on the paws than I have any other part of the body, which is really funny. I love the meme of like when you can tell someone is either into drawing paws or isn't into drawing paws. And it's basically like it's a very simple flat render versus a very like it is almost the most detailed part of the piece, if not the most detailed. I think for me, it's just going to come down more to skill, but also historically a lack of interest. Because you can definitely go back through most of my art and see there is very little detail. But I have always like appreciated the aesthetic though, so sure. Going to take a quick drink break and then come back and finish. I guess I can say the other half. I feel like I've done about half of the body so far. So just a very, very quick BRB. Buh. Definitely excited to hopefully finally be able to do VR. I've been getting just so much, like, I don't really want to call it FOMO, but it is kind of FOMO with it. And it's like been kind of like getting to a point where there's just some days where I just don't want to be in VR chat because I frankly just feel so out of place. And I don't want to sound like hello, Kieran. I looked up and saw something like shiny and pink in my sidebar, and I was like, wait, that's new. Hello, how are you doing tonight? But yeah, like I was saying, I was feeling a little bit sometimes just not wanting to be in because I don't have that same experience that everyone else is really having. And now soon I should hopefully be having it, but I am a little bit worried because they said something was going to be delayed, but it sounds like they have a solve for that. There was like a mount or something that they said, oh, actually, this is going to be in December. And I'm like, okay, you didn't say that on the website at all. Why didn't you say that on the website? That's a little worrying. But they're like, the headset should be fine. We have an alternative we're going to ship it with. And I'm like, okay, sure. I don't trust you, but hopefully it's fine. Doing well, just chilling after class. Nice. Have your classes been stressful or have they been kind of chill or just kind of in between? A lot of work or I frankly don't miss doing classes and I sometimes I wonder if I should go back to get a different degree because my degree is game dev and no one's going to really want to hire that, frankly. But at the same time, I'm like, I kind of like not having that stress anymore. Mostly pretty chill, but starting to pick up. Work on group projects. That was the other thing I didn't miss, or that I did that I don't miss. Words. Mostly when I was like in freshman sophomore year, though they kind of got better because I got to work with people who were more serious about doing things. But there was definitely times where I had to basically carry most of the projects, frankly. But definitely in freshman year that I had that problem. But at least it's been mostly chill for you though, so that's cool. Do wonder how Rago has been doing because I remember Rago describing some insane nonsense with theirs, and I'm like, that, like, basing your grade on the stock market or something, and I'm like, that's more insane than my uni requiring you have 2 internships before you can graduate, which is like insane to really, like, you can't guarantee your students jobs. So how am I doing? I am doing better now. Ironically, when I stream, at first it's nerve-wracking, but then I like get more energy, and I've been like, so I was saying this before, I'm like very exhausted lately, and earlier I had, after dinner, I had like a very upset stomach and was really dizzy. That's kind of gone away though, so, and I'm feeling a little bit more energy. I think mainly because I've been talking and because I'm standing right now, which I don't use my standing desk enough. So yeah, I've definitely been doing a little bit better. And I had a better day at work than I did yesterday. Good God, that was insane. The crap they pulled yesterday, where they just like caused a mess for my entire team. But today was a lot more chill, so. And I'm very happy with how this picture I'm working on is coming out. I don't think it'll be the greatest, but I don't know. So far, I think it captures my energy, or at least the, not the energy I want. Still a ways to go, but yes, the most important part of the picture, the beans. I have historically drawn very plain, simple, flat paws, and for reasons I of who, I definitely want to get better because or I should say, because of who, I've taken a greater interest. Um, also, it's just nice aesthetics to more interesting shapes to shade. And since I find shading very therapeutic, having more detail to shade with a more nice, I don't know, I'm losing track of my words a little bit, but having something I want to put more effort into is nice, I guess, is what I'm trying to get at. Kind of been ignoring my reference render most of the night, I realized. Not that it really matters at this point, because I got the blocky shades down, but I'm noticing more holes in the base layer, and it's annoying. There's one over. Is that not a hole? Am I going frickin' insane? Maybe I am, maybe I'm not. Yeah. Because I kind of have felt like my art has stagnated a little bit. And I was talking about this earlier that I want to kind of experiment with painting with color more directly, like Hanu and Cherry Wake. But there's something about that method of painting that kind of breaks my brain a lot. The reason why I paint the way I do is because I need things to be broken down into like digestible pieces, which is why you see like this initial layer is basically just like a what's the word that I'm looking for? Posturized, I think is the filter. That sort of aesthetic where it's just 5-ish somewhere in there tones of gray, and that kind of like breaks it down, and then I can blend that, and then I can go in and then do more details like with the abs and other areas and more crevices and all that stuff. But it's like the end result I'm not been happy with too much, and part of me is like I wonder if maybe experimenting with painting more directly with color would maybe help, especially since like part of me like wants to do like an oil painting aesthetic anyways, because I really enjoyed oil painting when I was in uni. And since I kind of can't work with that at the moment because I'm afraid of the fumes with like the paint thinner, I believe is what I'm thinking of. It's been a few years now. I kind of can't remember what exactly it is. I think it's like the paint thinner though. And my bedroom is basically entirely enclosed. It gets really hot in here now too, now that my computer's on here. And so that kind of very much shows how little ventilation there is. And also my vent is connected with the bathroom, so for privacy reasons I close that when I'm like streaming or in a voice call or VR chat, etc. Because it's like I don't want my voice to carry through, even though it doesn't really carry through that much. But or at least I've tested like having the computer speakers up high to what I think my voice volume is, and you don't hear much, but I still am just kind of like I'm very self-conscious. I just don't want to be perceived. That's why I really want to move sooner rather than later. I just need a car first. Just so that I have a way to get around in case for whatever reason I need to like find a job that needs to get around. I hope I wouldn't have to find a job for a while, because the job market is awful, frankly, for my field of work especially. And I almost worry that I'm kind of in a position where I'm basically not hireable because most people want full stack, and I'm mostly been stagnated with front end. And part of me is also like, I don't know, I kind of just don't want to do web dev if I have to job hunt again, but I'm kind of like, I don't know what else I would do besides like just something that doesn't really require a degree, frankly. Because like I said, I don't think anyone's going to really want a game dev degree. Blech. Wow, I have like gone through this piece surprisingly fast. It's been an hour and 20 minutes, and I did all of this. All of the blend shading. Yesterday was just the block shading. I'm getting faster and faster, which is what I like. I know some people struggle a lot with speed. I think having a graphics tablet really helps. Oh, you're front end dev? That's what I was until about a year ago. Yeah. Yeah. Well, I was supposed, so I have a game dev degree, and that was originally what I was striving to enter. But toward like my third year, I think, is when I was like a little uncertain if I wanted to actually continue on that path, because I was taking a look at the industry and a lot of the companies, and it's like either A, you just struggle to look for a connection to get into indie, or you memorize a bunch of like C++ slop to try to just get into like a more AAA studio, but most of them at that time were starting to become really problematic. And I was like, as a trans NB young person, I didn't really want, like, one of the main big things was like when, I forget what company it was, but like, I don't know if it was a CEO or if it was like it was some like direct, it was someone very high up, had a very a secret Discord with like some other of like his closest co-workers, where they were basically just using slurs and insulting a lot of other minority co-workers there. And it was just like, this isn't like the first time that's really happened. Like, so many of those companies are led by those types of just like abusive men. Fucking at ZeniMax there was a trans woman they were trying to force out, basically blackmailing her and withholding her health care, and basically being like, we'll give you your health care if you leave. And then they actually revoked that, even though it was like a contractual obligation on their part, which I'm kind of like she couldn't necessarily sue them for a lot of the abuse because she ended up recording a lot of it and you can't use that in court, but the contractual obligation she very much could, and she actually ended up trying to, and then a judge just threw it out because the judge was in Bethesda's pocket, basically, or ZeniMax or whoever. And I was like, ugh. And that's why I'm kind of like, I'm not giving them any more money. And I'm just like, I got so fed up with AAA, and I was like, I don't think I want to go into game dev. I'm not really proud of the company that I work for now for web dev, but I just had a connection with them because I interned with them, and a lot of the people liked me. So I knew that I was almost guaranteed the job when I applied, but their values are very much the opposite of mine. They're just the opposite of mine. I'll just leave it at that. And I only put up with them because I worry about having to job search again, frankly, or start over. But yeah, I've just not had the energy to do a lot of my own personal projects with game dev, and that's also would make it even more impossible to enter game dev at this point. I remember the first time I streamed, I was doing game dev on stream, and then I was like, oh my god, I can't remember like half of the stuff that I could have done in like literally 5 minutes. To be fair, part of it was because I literally just had so much anxiety from it being the first stream. Like, no shit, it's your first stream. But and like I went back and tried to do what I was doing on stream. I tried to do it off stream, and then it ended up taking me only like 5 minutes. So it wasn't as bad, I guess. But I still definitely felt like that, like skill fading. Because I used to know Unity basically like the back of my hand. And there was even someone I went to school with who she was like, she kind of knew Unity inside out, and she worked for them, and she did stuff for, I forget what exactly she did, and then she went on to work at Disney, which I was kind of like, I mean, I guess you got to do what you got to do, but she said that I could code circles around other applicants. That was her like exact wording. That made me very like happy to hear and validated. And it was true too, because quite frankly, yeah, I literally interviewed with a company. They were asking me a bunch of nonsense, basic, I say nonsense, but it was like really, it's template questions that they really shouldn't be asking. It's like old school, like the recruiter is very much not a skilled recruiter, shall we say. And like basically like one of the questions was, how do you code collision for 1,000 spheres moving in a confined space? Which is like, the answer is like, basically you're supposed to give a very rehearsed answer of something with like octrees and whatnot. I don't entirely remember it because there's no need to really know that, because the engines all do that, and you can look it up, and it's not practical in any way, because there's never going to be a game where you're doing 1,000 spheres moving in a confined space like that. That's not interesting. So it's not a good interview question, but they were asking questions like that. And then but the position was for Unity. And then the dude was like, okay, so what's your familiarity with Unity? Can you just, like, he didn't really have a pointed question for it. It was just like, it was very obvious he did not know anything about it. And I think he specifically asked about UI. And I went on a whole friggin' rant about like the 3 different ways to do UI in Unity. The IMGUI method, which is like the very classic on GUI methods, and the GUI namespace. The Canvas API, which is more so like what like the newer one was supposed to be for several years, and it's basically what you see is what you get. You literally have a canvas, you put UI elements on there, and it will render them as like triangle or like rectangles with sprites on them. And then there was like a new one that they were working on before I kind of like took a hiatus from game dev, that was more like working with Xamarin, which is like a now defunct framework for doing mobile programming, specifically I think with mostly just Android. I think it had iOS, but it was defunct because it was not as good. But and I frankly thought it was awful. but I like talked about that like a whole 5 minute tangent about it almost. And he was like impressed, like, wow, you seem to know your stuff. And it's like, yeah, that's because I fucking know Unity, and that's what this fucking interview's for, you dingus. Like, why are you not asking me questions about Unity? I did end up getting a follow up interview, so clearly they took something out of it, but their scheduling person was awful, and I just ended up being like, I'm not interested in this position anymore because you guys suck. And you're going to want me to eventually move to LA. That was the other reason I was like, because I asked them if, because it was remote, and I was like, is it just remote for COVID or not? And they were like, yeah, we would ideally like you to come here. And I'm like, I ain't fucking moving to LA. That place sucks. It's overpriced, and you're not gonna pay me enough, frankly. And I asked them what the salary was, because I told them I was concerned about the cost of living in LA, and they were like, oh, we pay a competitive salary. And I'm like, what the fuck does that mean, dude? Tell me what the salary is, because I don't think they actually had it listed anywhere, come to think of it. So that was the other reason I was like, you guys aren't trustworthy at all. And then I found out that they had been struggling to like stay open. Like they've been having problems getting contract money because they were old school indie, like when indie used to be contract companies, not, makers of Stardew and Silksong and all that. And they were struggling to like get their contract money, I guess, according to people on like Glassdoor, I think it was. And I'm like, cool, so I could sometimes just not get paid. I'm glad I avoided that company. they're still around. As far they're not closed. But most of what they do at this point is just like Disney shovelware. So they're kind of like one of the bigger classic indie companies that's left, I think. Maybe. Because I think there's games I've even played like back when I was a kid that was made by them. Given some thought to eventually moving to LA just because so many friends there, and God, is it expensive, like 3 to 4K a month for a decent place depending on location. Yeah, I was finding places initially that were like 1 to 2, and I was like, that isn't too bad, I guess. And then I realized I think it was all senior living, and I was like, oh, I don't think I would be able to get in then, probably. Yeah, I know one of my friends, Daniel Srirachi, he streams. He used to live in LA for a while, and he's had nothing but bad things to really say about it. And he now lives in Vancouver. Like I think he went there to visit and then fell in love with the city, and that was like his whole story of like why he ended up moving there. I think he said part of him wants to wishes he like maybe stuck with like I think it was, I don't know if it was like New York or what it was, because Vancouver also has its problems, namely I think housing. Everywhere just sucks. Seattle's the place you're considering aside from staying in DC. I've heard like decent things about DC, and I haven't heard a whole lot of bad things about Seattle either. There's a lot of people there. I think I have no idea um where I want to go. I just want because I want like it's weird for me. I want like a mix. I'm like very conflicted with what I want. Like part of me would love to be in like a walkable city and be able to just walk 5 minutes somewhere and I find something like new that I haven't been to eat and just be close, very close to friends, obviously. And like, I want all that. But the longer that I have been here where I am now, which is a very dense suburb in Akron, as my mother likes to call it, Crackron, because good lord, the politicians are all on drugs. Let's be real. It's very loud because we're like right by a very busy road. And it's not even like that populated, but it's like I'm very I don't like noise. I'm very sensitive to noise. Parentheses undiagnosed neurodivergent stuff. Um and like being by a very busy road with loud ass cars is very distressing. And I'm like, I know in a city it's going to be very loud just with traffic and all that. And like it hasn't been that bad lately now that I think about it, but there's been times where there's just ambulances all the time. I mean, part of it's because we live pretty close to one of the like fire stations, I think. So that's like there's an ambulance, like they have the ambulance come from there. So that's kind of just poor location, to be fair. But it's just like where I grew up was a very rural area. I lived next to a cornfield, literally. And on the other side of us was woods. And then our backyard was 2/3 woods. And we had a very big backyard. Sucked to maintain, but we had a pond, a very big pond. And I kind of miss it. And I miss being by our wood burner that we had. And I would love to cozy up with someone, frankly, by a wood burner. And you wouldn't get that in a city. And the other half of it is I would love to live somewhere where I have a private backyard to basically be a nudist, let's say. Live the Tuesday life, shall we say? Although they live in Pittsburgh, so clearly there's ways to make it work. It's just I know that's also I think that's true of Seattle because Sir Wolf Bemute has talked about that. But I don't know, I just kind of want to be in a thing that sucks about rural areas is it's a very hit or miss if the people there want you dead or not. I know where I used to live, you go drive around and you cannot drive like 3 minutes without seeing a sign that's like something not literally like a few minutes from where my old house is. There's neighbors that have fucking if you're a Democrat, you're a terrorist sign up. And I'm like, classy. But you can't write off all rural areas like that because that's not true of all places. But it's very like hard to really know that. Well, not hard to know that because you'll find out pretty easily, but it's just hit or miss is what I'm trying to say. But yeah, living in the city has been great for that. So many places I can just walk to. That's the other thing too, is like I want to be able to walk somewhere and feel safe walking around. Which some cities that's true and some cities that's not. Where I am now, it's very not true. Because we don't have walkable sidewalks. We've had drive-by shootings pretty bad, and people drive like assholes. So it's like I don't really feel safe walking too far from the house at all. So, but it's people talk a lot of shit about cities, and there's definitely like cities that are very safe. But the problem is those ones are expensive. So but the other thing that's like a major consideration for me is I want to be able to legally transition the way I want to, and part of that is I don't want to advertise my name change in a newspaper for 3+ weeks, which is a requirement in a lot of states, including New York. I think you can probably get it waived easily in New York, but I don't want to have to get it waived, period. Yeah, it's stupid as shit. And there's very little likelihood I could get it waived in Ohio because Ohio is very much a red state. Although I think Akron, you might be able to do that. But yeah, it's one of the annoying things. And then two, a state that like recognizes NB people exist would be nice. I mean, I know at the federal level, your existence doesn't exist. And part of it is a bullshit excuse of their systems weren't programmed for it, which makes me wonder if they basically coded gender as a Boolean, is male or not. More accurately, they probably used, what is it called? A bit. So it would functionally be like a Boolean, but it doesn't necessarily mean it's a Boolean. It's just zero is one of them and one is the other. So that would be the only way I see their little excuse of it's a programming limitation, or not programming, but like their systems, whatever. I don't know. That's what I heard like years ago. But like there are states that recognize it, and Ohio is definitely not one of them. I think New York might be one of them to a degree. I don't know. I'm kind of at a point too where I kind of don't care a whole lot anymore. I'm also at a point where like even I kind of don't want that to be a limiting factor of where I go. And I remember someone who, I think they're in the UK, someone like found out what their name change was from some. Hello? Am I still here? Okay, I'm back. Okay. Something just like caused my computer to freeze. And I think VNN crashed because I don't exist anymore. Um, can I open VNN back up? Is it safe? That was weird. That has not happened. Okay, nothing's freezing. That's not the right window. Okay, there we go. Oh, I think my camera has delay now too. Ah, well, I'm not going to be streaming for a whole lot longer, so I'll just put up with it. Reset you. Look over at chat. There we go. Okay, what was I saying? I opened my stream on my phone because I thought my computer wasn't going to recover, and then it immediately recovered, thankfully. Just check my system real quick just to see if there's something I'm running out of. No, my memory's fine. My CPU is fine. Don't know what the hell that was all about. I can't see my GPU resources super easily. Do I have Radeon top? Radeon top. I think it needs sudo. Hold on. Yay, Linux things. Unknown Radeon card. That's lovely. I can't see what I... Oh, no, I can't. Oh, it does tell me my RAM. Maybe. No. Yes. I have no... I have no idea what I'm looking at. This is 15 megabytes out of 16 gigabytes used for memory, and I don't believe that for a second. Having a browser open and VNAN would use some, and I think I have 12, not 16, so there's something weird going on there. So that's not useful. Oh well. Anyways, oh, I just minimized Krita. But yeah, I just have not figured out where I really want to live. I just know it's not Ohio. I don't really think my future is in Ohio. But my job, unfortunately, has now made it so that you have to you're kind of limited on where you can move because technically my place is located in Jersey and they don't have the rights to have people work in all 50 states anymore, I guess. I don't know. Or it's really hard for them to make it work. So now you kind of need to clear it with them. And it's well, I'm going to decide by buying or renting a place. Having you in the equation is not possible. So I don't know how. Either make it work or I'm gone. I don't know. And they won't give you a list of where you can go to either because it apparently is always changing, which I find that hard to believe. So I don't know. Shit sucks. But I don't want to complain too much. I'm trying to take things one at a time, really. It's kind of like what I'm doing with cons. And just life, I guess. I don't know what I'm saying anymore. Yeah, I don't believe that for a second. Our HR is very lazy, I think. They don't do a whole lot, and literally the main reason why they went from our system of having set number of days for holiday and sick and all that, they went to FTO. Their main reason was just they didn't want to deal with it anymore, which I relatable, frankly, and like like good on you and also good on us. Like thank you. Like FTO is literally going to make it possible for me to just go to cons and not have to worry about it too much. But can you tell me where I can move to, please? Because I want to get out of this shithole. You kind of. That took me a hot minute to realize that was fuck with. I was like, what is FW? I'm very bad at interpreting abbreviations, I think, but you kind of fuck with this music. Yeah, I was saying this at the beginning of stream. I really love how moody the annex is without sounding too edgy. I really love this song too. It's just like, dying with you. There's like a certain romantic quality to it because it's very much about, I don't know, just kind of that. I don't know what I'm saying, but yeah, it's just I like it. I've been like in the mood lately for his stuff. It's just really unfortunate that he's still with Fixed. Cell Dweller / Clayton is an awful person, and dude, please leave. Everyone in Fix needs to leave. I'm kind of like at a point where I'm like, I don't know what else do I want to do with this. Part of me is like, I'm starting to just fumble around. I forgot to do a backup of the shading before I started doing details, but the only details I really have added are the abs. Also, I'm realizing what I'm missing here a little bit. I think my brain is starting to shut down because it is 12 o'clock. That's another reason I want to get a move, is because I want to have my own place so I can stream earlier. I don't really want to stream at this time, but again, I don't like being perceived, and there are times where my mother needs something of me, and I don't want to. Wow, that is really white. What in the world? And I don't really want to have to like be like, no, I'm in the middle of something, or I'm in the middle of streaming, I should say. And so I just don't like having my schedule revolve around someone else that extensively. But I just don't want to. I just want to be able to feel free to be me. I'm not out as Alex to my family, shall we say. And so like my introduction, if like someone were to raid or anything, is basically, I'm Alex, aka Lightling, and I do blah 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 blah. So I stream around this time because frankly I'm the only one awake. So I moved my computer desk into here because it's a lot more private and soundproof. It is like surprisingly soundproof. Like I've put my music up fairly high, and I would close the door, even have the vent open and closed, and like go in like the bathroom and the adjacent bedroom and see if I could hear anything, and I could not hear a damn thing. And I'm like, gosh bless this like weird ass like concrete like drywall. It is like fucking, it is hard to drill in this drywall. And I have a solid core door too as well, so which means it's like it's wood all the way through. Do have quite a lot of sound deadening in there. Yeah, the art helps with that. There is no echo in here at all, which is really nice. Like I've taken like the furniture out and there was a bit of echo because when I was rearranging. And yeah, there's like so it's so much different when this room is empty compared to when it's not. Yeah, I'm realizing too the plush nets probably help. I It's like the one thing I really love about my room is just how much it is like how cozy it is. I hate how hot it gets now that the computer's in here and it's very small. It is so much smaller than my room when I was a kid. My room was like over twice this size and I had like nothing because we grew up, I want to say poor, but we were very much like at the very bottom of middle class, if that. There were times where money was a concern. So I had a really shitty twin bed and a hand me down dresser and then a shitty L desk that I bought with like work money when I was working for my dad. And that was kind of it. Because my main focus was just having a computer that I could do like game dev and stuff with and gaming. But yeah, having like a nice bigger space, like I'm very much like a wolf at heart. It is part of the reason why I identify as Therian because I am very, it is like so obvious how wolf I am, like spiritually. And like when I'm feeling the most stress, what I vision is running in the woods with other wolves. It is like a very vivid vision and also desire to be in open natural spaces. And so when I'm in cramped spaces, it is very much a stressful thing for me. I can cope with it. I put up with it in dorms fairly well, especially when I had a single for my second year and my fourth year. Third year, I was trapped in Ohio because of COVID, or the pandemic lockdown stuff. But um, noticing this ear looks a little weird because I didn't shade it. Oh no. Um, but yeah, I miss space. And having the stuff I have, unfortunately, has the side effect of taking away so much space. And there are times where I'm like, I almost regret getting a full size mattress. I was thinking I should just future proof in case I end up needing it for reasons. um, and I still think that was a good idea, but I'm also, there are just times where I'm like, it would be so much more convenient if I had a twin. Like I would have so much more space. And it's like, I know I'm going to be kind of limited with VR chat when I finally do have VR. Like I'm definitely not going to be able to like do any sort of dancing or anything. I have I have the streaming, it is it's dual purpose. When I built it, it's a mini PC that has almost as much power as my main one. Um, it's less powerful, but it's good enough. and I can go in the office and have a lot more space. But the problem is, the reason why I moved out of there in the first place is that there's no privacy. But when it's like later in the night, since I'm the only one awake, it's not a huge deal. So I could probably make that work, but I'm drawing on the layer that I made for color. Also, hovering over that is just kind of neat to see. Unfortunately, I just now noticed you can't see it though on OBS. That is really unfortunate. I don't like window capture, but I also don't want to risk something popping up on stream, frankly. Shall we say. Although since this is on the drawing tablet, there isn't really any risk. But the problem too is if I don't have the tablet connected when I open OBS and then I connect it, I have to restart OBS. I don't know why. It's really weird, but anyways, I'm going to move on to color. I'm going a little longer than I was planning to, but that's okay. I'm having a nice time. I'm not feeling as tired as I did at the end of yesterday. Yeah, yesterday. Wait, no. And coloring does not take too long with the way I do my stuff. I've watched people like manually color in things. And I'm like, bestie, you could go so much faster if you just bucket. Hold on. This did not color pick. Color pick, you little fricker. I said, I combined frick and fucker to a word that almost sounds like a word I shouldn't say. But that was what came out. Anyways, I was trying to say color pick, you little fucker. Oh, which one do I need? I think it's overlay. But it's like, you could save so much time if you do this one neat trick. I know for some people, the color is the therapeutic part for them. So that's probably part of the reason why they do it by hand. But I'm like, the coloring is the shading is the more therapeutic part for me. So it is like more easy to just bucket fill, and that looked weird. Hold on. Perspective, my enemy. I'm stupid. I have a color version of my ref, and since I'm not, it is NSFW, but, or my pose, I should say. My render, that's the word I'm looking for. Family friendly stream. That reminds me, I should probably put 18 plus in the title, maybe. I don't think it's really that important because frankly, I have all the warnings set up and I have it in the rules that I'm free to be as lewd as I want within TOS, and I'm free to put a stop to it when I want. So that's a rule I took from Queen Pib. She has a rule of like I don't know if it's like the heated topics, the spicy topics, what the rule wording is, but it basically allows her to justify going on to like more political discussions, to freely talk about like world events, and to allow chat to have that same sort of discussion, but for her to be able to put a stop to it when the stream needs to go focus on gaming stuff. And I took that rule and expanded it to be both the sort of like heavier political topics as well as lewd discussion. Since she doesn't, that's not her shtick, but frankly, I want to be able to say horny things within the scope of TOS. The same way Divi's like, I like talking about boys because I too like talking about boys and boys stuff because I like boys. I haven't really, because I frankly I don't have the viewership, and therefore I don't have the active chat for it. But saying the quiet part out loud, I have been I'm definitely more talkative, but I'm not been as energetic as I would like to be. God, I aspire to have the energy Hazel does when she streams. Holy fuck. It is she out like I so there's I'm doing my brain is doing that thing where I go like 1,000 miles an hour. So my friend who used to stream, he hasn't done it lately because he's been very busy with work and just like swamped with it, I guess, and just hasn't had the energy to stream. Me and someone else in his chat were very gremlin-y. And one of the things the other person usually says is like, I take being Porg, that's his name is Bestie Porg. I take being Porg's number one hater very seriously. It's kind of like that energy. And like, I'm very, like, I've always kind of been like, if the chat has that vibe of being free to be a gremlin, I will be very much a gremlin. And I want to reflect that energy on my stream a little bit. And it's like watching Hazel stream lately is like, I want to strike a balance of the stream being fairly chill, but still gremlin-y. Like I don't want the energy of like bigger streamers or the energy of like anyone that's like really just like fucking batshit off the walls crazy like Jaw. I love Jaw. Don't get me wrong, obviously. Although it's definitely like I can't really watch Jaw because it's too much for me, which is really unfortunate because like I said, I do like Jaw. But it's like I don't want that high energy, but I do want, and I don't entirely want to be as high energy as Hazel maybe, but I do want to be somewhere between where I am now and the absolute fucking energy of her. Don't tell Hazel I said that. Parentheses, do tell Hazel I said that, actually, I guess. I don't know. Love the guy I can't watch. Yeah, it's like it's like I feel really bad about saying that. It's just like it. Yeah. I have a render right in front of me that I can reference. Why am I not looking at it? I keep looking at my ref sheet like, how does this pattern go here? I have a model right in front of me. I could just do the same thing. Oh, that's head. How do I give? What was I about to say? Dude, I'm really giving. Yeah, I shouldn't say that. Tee hee hoo hoo. I'm getting near the end of my playlist, which is surprising. I thought the playlist was I started in the middle, so there's still more to the playlist. It's basically most of the music that is not skips, so to speak, with his music. Because there's some, especially with his older stuff, the Annex. I mean, that's not. They're like my friend would call songs skips. I don't know if that's what other people call them, but that's yeah. Crunchy neck. Crunchy bones. Crunchy bones. I'm going to kind of phone it in here because this doesn't entirely match the reference. Out of sight, out of mind. Skips, yeah. But yeah, it would be really nice to get to a point where I can have that energy, because it's definitely hard to have that energy when there's no chat to have that bounce that energy off of, really. I guess there are definitely things I could be doing to promote, parentheses, looks at people's promotion channels and discords. I have like a weird hang up where I don't like doing that. I don't want to do that, even though I know I probably should, because there's a lot of mutual interest, I think, where that would help. I just feel really weird about doing that. I don't, it feels like I'm almost intruding, or like being like, bing bong, you should come watch me instead of whatever. And I think most people just mute those channels anyways, because I mean, I do, frankly. So yeah, I don't know. Maybe I should do it. That's what they're there for. I just have a weird hang up about that. This isn't entirely correct. Is it? It's kind of more like this. This blue is more on the outer edges of this fur. I might just redo this actually. I love this song. It goes pretty hard. It's almost as hard as when he went in his what's it called? Brain work, Digital Bath by Deftones. He covered that song. It played earlier. It goes really fucking hard. And this one is kind of like, it goes as hard, but isn't a cover. So it's nice to have that, because it's like that cover is like almost, I would almost say it's like one of his best songs, or at least shows vocal range. This one, he still doesn't go quite as like high with it, but or hard with it, but yeah. Me, yeah, yeah,
I don't know about you, but I'd call that a bargain.
Hello? Oh, Capri, hello. Hi. I heard something weird. I forgot about the alert. I'm also on speakers right now, so I can't hear it quite as well. So it didn't quite sound right. I was like, what the hell was that voice? It's Garrick. But hi, hello, welcome on in. I hope I think you were on Voices of the Void you moved on to. I hope Pekin Voices of the Void was good for you. Anyways, hello Raiders. I'm Alex, aka Lightling. I am getting back into streaming after trying it in February and then for a lot of reasons put it off for a while and could not get back into it for a little bit, but now I'm doing it again. I started this piece that I'm working on right now. So I will do art sometimes. I'm thinking about doing music. I do want to do some games as well. I have a couple games in mind that I'm wanting to get into after I finish this piece. Demon Stone from my childhood. And then maybe System Shock after that. Yeah. But anyways, I started on this piece. Yes. Well, I had the sketch ready to go. And this is what I got done with it yesterday. So basically kind of breaking down the shading into a bunch of these blocks. And this is what I've been working on today, getting the details in. And now I'm finishing off the night with color. So I will probably be ending. It probably won't be going too much longer because I will basically finish when I finish this piece. But yeah, I don't have a formal schedule yet. It's basically going, if I do stream, it's going to be around this time, starting around like 10:30, 11 p.m. EST, going until like 12:30, maybe 1 if I'm feeling daring. I say daring as if there's nothing daring about that, you dingus. Anyways, that's really good. Thank you. Yeah, I'm very happy with it so far. This is inspired by one of the pics I took with my wolper, which I'm so proud of. I'm so happy with the basically I edited the wolper to be a wolper, wolper, so wolf. But one of the pics I took in VR chat, just like testing it out, had like a very nice vibe of like just like sexually intimidating, but still alluring that I'm still approachable. And that's like a nice vibe I like with this model. And I have that pic set as like my current profile pic in a couple places. And I was like, I kind of want to draw it. So I went ahead and set up a more formal pose in render in Blender. And then I had some ideas to play around with it more. And that's how we got to this. And this is definitely the most important part of the piece. Bask in its glory. Hee hee. I wish Vinian had smile tracking so you could see when I'm smiling. But yeah. I had to very quickly check I'm on the right layer. I mean, it's kind of obvious because it's an overlay, but just had to very like, oh. Yeah, this has been really nice. This has been nice to actually. I've had a bit of like hesitation with the idea of doing streaming, which is why I was like kind of more so preparing to do games instead. But I was like, I kind of like where this piece was going with the sketch, and I was like, I feel confident enough that I could make it look good enough on stream. So I went ahead and went with it. And I'm glad I did because I've enjoyed this. And it's like been in part of it too is I've been like inspired watching Harvest do art and other people as well who normally do art, but he doesn't normally do it. And it's been nice. And I was like, you know what? I would like to try. And it also kind of gets me back into doing more art too, because I've kind of not been doing a whole lot in recent years. And that's kind of been stressing me out a little bit in a way. Cause I'm like, I used to draw so much when I was younger. I had like 20 minimum like finished pieces, not even mentioning like sketches and work like scraps basically. And I basically had nothing to show for like 2021 maybe, and then only a few pictures after that. And art has always been like a very therapeutic thing for me. It's always been like a thing I do for fun. And like shading in particular is a very like nice therapeutic thing because it's like it's especially with the brush I've been using lately. I've been using a wet knife for the shading, and it results in like a lot more of these like it doesn't look as like blurry or soft as some of my older art has been, and I've been very happy with that. And I was like, I need to draw more. It's just I usually when I finish work, I'm just so fucking tired at the end of the day. Part of this I think is just because I haven't been getting any exercise. It's kind of hard to where I am now. I've been trying though to do better about that, so and it's like I can definitely just tell a difference when I exercise versus when I don't, which is like just doing the bare minimum of taking a break during work to do like push-ups and sit-ups and just like walk around for a little while. And unfortunately, since I moved my setup around, I can't use the treadmill anymore at my desk because I don't have a desk anymore for like my work computer. Did I miss a spot here? I missed a spot here. So I'm trying to figure out like what I want to do for that. And I think what I might do is get like it's literally just a walking pad. It's not a treadmill. That's what my coworkers all use as a walking pad. But I still wouldn't be able to use it at my work setup because I need to stand on like 5 they're like garden tiles. I forget what material it is. It's like cork. It's kind of like really dense cork board or something. I have to stand on like 5 of those, so I can't use a walking pad for that. But I could use it in here. Ooh, and I could basically do it while I'm streaming too. That would be because I'm standing right now, and it's like helped a lot with my energy. Because yesterday I wore out after like an hour, so that was like the second hour I was very much like lower energy. Whereas I've been going for 2.5 now, and I feel like I have a fair bit of energy still left in me. Arguably, that's not entirely great because I should be going to bed pretty soon, but the correlation is there of not sitting in a chair all day looking at a computer and having more energy. Because I didn't do my normal exercise break today and was very much just kind of vegging out for most of work. And man, was I exhausted after work. So, yeah, make sure you exercise. That's the takeaway. Don't be like me. I graduated and then my physical activity dropped really bad because I no longer had what was essentially like a walkable city. That's kind of why I was talking about this earlier. I want to be in a walkable city a little bit, but I do want to also be like in a rural area too. So I'm like very conflicted. But I said but and then immediately looked at my butt on the ref sheet. Um, Normal things. I'm normal. Hi. But yeah, I graduated and that physical activity dropped because of it, and I gained like 15 pounds. That was my quote unquote twink death. Parentheses, don't take that phrase seriously because it is rooted in a serious topic I don't really feel like getting into, but yeah. But yeah, I had a lot of health issues ever since then that I won't get too much into. A lot of health scares. One of them was actually kind of a cancer scare too. Thankfully, it wasn't anything, but most of them, almost all of them, can be attributed to the change in physical activity, I think. I want a different brush for this. Where there it is. Yeah. Yeah. That looks hold on, that was a little too much, I think. Fluff it up. That looks nice. I love the bass in this song. Yeah, I'm definitely getting toward the end of the piece and I'm not hating it. There's been some art lately where I got to the end and was kind of not. Oh, that is going a little too ham with that. And I haven't been happy with it, but I think this one I'm liking. I think it goes with the vibe I was going for. I think my playlist ran out. Yep. I'll just go to the beginning because I did not actually start stream at that. Go to some of his older stuff. Kieran, if you're still here, one of the songs actually in this album, hold on, let me see what song it is. Warning Signs. There's I don't know if it was an official music video or if it was a fan video, but they did it to Mass Effect. I think it was an official video because I think it was like an actual thing for BioWare, or for Mass Effect, I should say. So I thought that might be interesting because I think you like Mass Effect. Question mark. I need to go back and finish the trilogy. I say I should go back and finish the trilogy. Correction, I've played through the trilogy like 5 times, the original one. And then what's it called? The Legendary Edition. That's what it's called. Legendary came out. I never played the DLC for the original trilogy, and that was largely because I didn't want to deal with the BioWare points bullshit. And I was very annoyed too because I got the fucking box set. I got like a really nice box set for the trilogy. It's like, why didn't it come with the DLC? So I like played through it 5 times without ever experiencing the DLC. And some of the DLC I've heard is like really good, especially I forget what it's called, but it's for Mass Effect 3 where I think there's a clone of you or something. I don't know. But there's nice romance scenes with Garrus, and there's a lot of silly stuff too. And it's just kind of like a nice late game experience to kind of like offset a lot of the depressive vibes of 3, which is kind of my issue with 3. It's kind of why I like Andromeda more than 3, because I really like the like aloof, no kind of like a lot lighter on like the propaganda stuff too that I take issue with. It's kind of more like just like a silly, I don't know, it's a much different vibe. It's one of the things a lot of people took issue with, but I kind of liked. But anyways, so I didn't get through, so I didn't get to play the DLC, and that's what the Legendary Edition was going to basically be a new experience for me, was because it comes with the DLC. And I got about halfway through 2, and I got to the Overlord DLC, and I haven't played ever since then because there's so many issues with that DLC that like really put me off from finishing it. So spoilers for that DLC, I guess, but I think it's Overlord. I think that's what it was called. But first of all, the level design was kind of not good. There's like a lack of good cover in a lot of spots. The boss fight in particular was very awful because there was no cover at all, and things are shooting at you, and you have to like shoot at like these orbs, and it's all timed, and it's just like, and I was playing on a harder difficulty because I hadn't played on a harder difficulty before, and I kind of wanted to do that. I'm talking really fast to try to get through this story, but I promise I'm not this blah, 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 usually. But the part that was really upsetting is what the main boss enemy is. It's basically just an autistic kid, and it basically portrays them as incompetent and evil, and it was a really shitty fucking portrayal of neurodivergency, and it was very upsetting. And the worst part is that they do touch on the fact that it wasn't actually their fault. I think it ends up being a bad end for that kid, and then also there's the person who put them in that situation gets no consequence whatsoever. Even as a renegade shepherd, you basically just yell at him, and that's it. And it's like, this isn't even what a renegade shepherd would do. They would definitely kick his ass. And there was just no resolution whatsoever, and I just have not played ever since then. Hello, music? Okay. Sometimes it just like forgets to keep playing. I don't know why. I'm running a self-hosted instance of Jellyfin, which is basically Netflix plus Spotify self-hosted with your own files. And so I'm using the Jellyfin media player. I'm just literally window capturing with a crop for the music player on my stream. So stuff like that is bound to happen sometimes, where it just does a little hiccup. Quite frankly, I think a part of it too is bots trying to scrape Git repositories. I really need to make mine private and then make all my public repos mirrors on GitHub. Because if they're going, if Microsoft is going to be doing the scraping too, I might as well offload the scraping onto their servers. Because don't you dare scrape off of mine? And I think some of my issues lately have been because of that. Because there was an insane amount of traffic sometimes in my logs, I've noticed. Kind of doesn't look like it's looking at the viewer. That might be something I fix off stream though, because I think I'm just gonna color in the stool. I think the background and any sort of other final touch-ups I'll handle off stream. But yeah, I think overall I'm happy with this. Yeah. Just need to double check my references. Yeah. Okay. Gonna come over. Hold on, I need to go to studio mode. Do this. I've not used studio mode before, really. Okay, it worked. Anyways, so I'm gonna call it there. Um, don't know if I'll stream tomorrow. I looked at the date for a second. It said Thursday, and I was thinking tomorrow would be Friday because of it. It's like, no, it's 1 a.m. dingus. It's Thursday. Definitely like Friday, Saturday, never, because I'll be in VR chat getting silly, horny, and drunk. But uh, if I do have energy, maybe tomorrow. Um, I am also wanting to do the Outer Wilds DLC, and I'm going to be doing that offline on my just like privately, quietly with myself because of how personal that game is, and I don't have the like audience or the friends to enjoy that that have the time to share that with, so I'd rather just do that not on stream. Also, I need to remember to rotate like this when I'm on this screen. But yeah, and I'm kind of wanting to do that sooner rather than later. So I might, if I end up doing that next week, I will probably not be streaming until I'm finished with that. It probably won't take that long to finish, anyways, because I'm pretty sure everyone's been doing that in like 12 hours or less. So, and I will literally just play that for hours, like after, as soon as I'm done with dinner until I go to bed, because that's what I did with the base game. Um, but when I do come back, I will be probably playing Demon Stone, um, which is a game from my childhood I never actually finished. So it would be cool to play that. And I was like, this would actually be maybe interesting for to stream. So, and then after that, move on to I think System Shock because I really would like to go through that. And those are games I started and not finished. I will probably be doing the remakes of those because I tried the original versions, and like as important as those games are, I think it's just better to just play the remakes. um, but yeah, so I think that's everything I had to go on a spiel about. So I will go ahead and call it here. I hope everyone has a good night, and I will see you the next time I see you. Bye.